Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. Tonight I'm going to be taking a couple of thrifted items and I'm going to be transforming them into some fabulous spring decor. This is hopping down the bunny trail, spring and Easter. I'd like to thank my co-host Monica from Up All Night DIY. You're going to find the link to her channel as well as this playlist loaded with tons of talented creators in my description box below. So, I went thrifting. Surprise, surprise. I went to Goodwill and I found this little sheep. And she is in very bad condition. All four of her legs are broken and her little weird fur stuff is coming off. Her woolly coat is coming off. It's like those old school phone cords is what she's made out of. Is really kind of crazy. And she's just kind of sad and pathetic all the way around. They actually looked at me funny when I brought her up to because the girls at Goodwill, they know me and they're like, what on earth are you doing with this thing? I'm gonna fix it and make it pretty. That's what I'm gonna do. And I start as usual by disassembling, and this poor little lammy needs it. She is gonna get totally disassembled. Her curly wool came off pretty darn easy, and her legs as well, probably because they're all broken. But once I get her disassembled, we are going to fix her. We're going to take her to the vet and get those legs set for sure. Since my little sheep is made of styrofoam, I am going to use low temperature hot glue to mend her, along with some little stakes. And these little stakes, these little dowels are like the shish kebab things. Super handy, not real thick because the bottom of her leg is pretty thin and I don't want to crack this even more. So it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle at this point. I find all the pieces that need to go together and then I glue them and I stake them all back together where they should be. Once I've skewered all her legs together, then we will go to the next step. And FYI, I did name her. Of course I did. Of course I did. Her name's Barbara, but she lets her friends call her Baaaaabs. Keep in mind, just her friends call her that. You know how it is. So there we go. All her legs are getting mended. They are skewered and glued nice and firm, and I'm picking off all the extra glue. And now it's time to fill the cracks because there's some big cracks from her injuries. So we are using one time to fill her cracks, and just the cracks, all the little nubby things around her legs and like big dents where I picked glue off. So I'm filling all these things and I want her legs pretty smooth because of what I'm going to do to the legs. Everything else doesn't really matter as long as there's no huge chunks of one time sitting around. So I fill the cracks and we set it aside and let it dry. My one time is dry. I did get a little carried away with it, but that's all right. No harm, no foul. I just need to sand everything down now. The legs were pretty bad and the body not too bad, but there was a lot more glue on here than what I had anticipated and a lot of picking and a lot of filling. So I sand her up really good and then we get to paint. I am applying my first coat of paint. This is just a base coat. You're not going to see this at all. You're not going to see the second coat either. I don't know what I'm saying. But this is just to make all the imperfections really in the legs stand out. Because after I'm done with this first coat of white Waverly chalk paint, I am going to touch up the legs a little bit more with the one time. Because I can't have any dents. Because we're going to do something special with those legs. So I get my first coat on here of the white. I sit back and I let it dry. So it's dry and I have touched up the legs. Now I am coming with a second Waverly chalk paint, and this is Cashew. This is just a really nice tan color, and you'll see why I want this color in a little bit. But for right now, we're just giving the entire little sheep, we're giving Baaaaabs a coat of cashew paint. 2 coats in some places. Now for the treatment on little Bab's legs. I am using sand. This is self-leveling sand. This is what you'd use in landscaping projects like setting pavers and so forth. And I had extra and I liked the color and I wanted texture. So I am using Mod Podge. I busted out the podge and we're going to podge and sand. Podge and sand. That's what's happening here. I put a nice thick coat on, and once I get the back two legs covered in the podge, then I sprinkle on that self-leveling sand. I picked this up at Menards. You can also use play sand. You can use sand. They have decorative sand at the Dollar Tree as well as Hobby Lobby. They have it in back in the craft section, and then they also have it in the his and her section at Hobby Lobby. You can find all kinds of different colors, but I am going to give these guys 2 coats of sand. Once it totally dries, I will come back and add a second coat of Mod Podge, and this is matte Mod Podge, and a second layer of the sand. Now I am going to apply some sand to parts of her face as well, and I am just busting out my Sharpie here and drawing a line around the little areas that I'm going to sand. I don't want to do her entire head, just her face, her cute little face. Look at the shape of her face. It's even better now once it's stripped that nasty fake fur off of it. So I have my area designated that I'm going to sand, and now I coat it as well. Bab said she's cold, so I'm going to give her her little wool back. And instead of putting those weird curly Q things back on, I am going to create a pattern with this fringe. Now this fringe is like 30 years old. It was in my garage forever and a day. It had water stains on it. I did buy it brand new like 30 years ago. I did try to get rid of the water stains in the washing machine in a lingerie bag so it wouldn't get too twisty. I gave it a wash and it still has some water stains on it, and I thought, hey, this could be like a little shabby chic chic. Shabby chic sheep. Say that 3 times. Shabby chic chic. Shabby chic sheep. Shabby chic sheep. Oh, forget it. So this fringe is what I'm going to use to create her little wool body. Once I get my first row of fringe on here, I am going to start to create the pattern, and this pattern will go all over her body because I don't want to see any of that cashew. If it peeks through, you can see that it's not going to make that big of an impact, but then again, I don't want to see it. So I am just taking each little individual piece of the trim, that fringe, and I'm creating kind of a spiral, like a little rose spiral. And once I get that little rose spiral in place, I will pin it and glue it in place with Aleene's tacky glue, the clear glue, which is fabulous for projects just like this. Because now I'm sure of the design I'm going to create, I am not worried about gluing that entire first piece of the trim down, as well as gluing that first rosette into place. My pattern that I'm going to establish will be random. Some of these rosettes will be larger and some will be smaller. I work some of the little fringe pieces up. I work some of the little fringe pieces down any way that is pleasing to my eye. Now, I'm not gonna tell you a story here. This was time consuming, very time consuming, but I'm telling you, I enjoyed this. This was very mellow for me. I enjoyed every minute of making these cute little spiraled rosettes. Because this was so time consuming, I decided just to take a few photos so you can see what it was like in the process. Here I have some of the rosettes pinned. Here I have some of the rosettes glued, and there you can see a nice side shot of her, and then some of the work I did on her little fanny, where her little tail's gonna go. So cute. Barbara, oh Babs, you're looking so good. So I have all the way around to the back completed, you can see, and I've got some pins in her. Poor little Babs looks like a pin cushion. Poor little darling. Well, I am in the process now of adding the second layer of the trim fringe, and this is going to go above that first layer. I get it pinned where I want it, I get it glued, and I start working the same exact way as I did with that first row of trim, making sure that as I create new little rosettes, they blend beautifully, just seamlessly with the rosettes that I've already created. Blue is helping me, of course, Blue is helping me. Thanks, Blue. I want to show you the way that I kept my rosettes in place as I glued them. I took a pin and I ran it through the rosette sideways, connecting all of the little loops together. I then took a second pin and did the same thing. This made sure that the rosette did not come apart. And then the pins that I have driven down through the rosette, I removed. And I was able to then lift the rosette with those two pins that went in sideways and glue them, and then slowly slide the pins out so that way it stayed in place through the whole process. Here's Babs' pelt. There's her little face and her legs and her little curlicues. Well, I am going to reuse the eyes. I'm also going to reuse the ears and the tail. So every bit of this thing I can use, I will use. And guaranteed, the only thing I probably will never be able to use, hey, never say never, are the fake fur pieces. But then again, who's to say? Who's to say? Time will tell. Here are her ears and her little tail. I am going to do the sand texture on the inside of her ears and on the inside of her tail, or the underneath side of her tail. I use the exact same process as I did on her legs and her face. I coat everything with Mod Podge, a real thick coat of Mod Podge, because this is that fake fur stuff, and it is just soaking it up. And then I will sprinkle on some of the sand, that self-leveling sand, to give it texture and a really cool color. I use pieces of the fringe to trim out the sides of the ears and the tail. I glue them on with A-leans, and then I will set them aside and let them dry. I cut a single piece of the fringe and I attach it to my styrofoam with a couple of pins to keep it in place, and I wind the entire thing around, and around until I have an individual rosette. Now the frayed end I will glue to the back side of the rosette, and then these rosettes will get applied to the back of the ears and the top of the tail. And I will make as many as I need to cover all of these 3 pieces. So here's another thrifting find, this cute little cart. I picked it up for $1. And you can see there once was at one time a third wheel. No one likes to be a third wheel. And evidently this third wheel took off because it felt very, very uncomfortable. So I am going to reconfigure this cart so Barbara, good old Babs, can pull it. I cut off anything that connects the 2 of those little hoops together, and then I cut them off as well because I need to make this into one big hoop to go over Babs' back and connect both of the lower spokes on this little wagon. So this is the way I want this to go, just like that. They originally were right like that, and I need to make them look like this. So from this to this, what I'm going to do is put them together and draw a little line. And I'm hoping this is big enough to go over Babs once she is totally floofed out. So I line them up and I am going to cut them. I'm going to cut them at the exact same time, so hopefully my angle is identical on both parts. And once I cut it out, then I will glue these two pieces together with wood glue. I will be cutting and painting this little scrap piece of a paint stick for stability for my little wagon. I cut and add a little dowel through that front part of my wagon, and I will add some little wood caps so it looks nice and finished. I will simply use hot glue to put the little caps on. The sides of my wheels are a little rough, so I give them a little hubcap. I hot glue on a little wood round. And then I get to paint my little wagon. I'm painting her pink. Not just any pink. This is a chalk paint by Waverly, and it is Ballet Slipper, and I love this color, and I use it a lot, but hey, if you like something, go for it, right? I paint the entire little wagon, the wheels, the bottom, the back, the whole 9 yards, that little dowel I added, and that little reconfigured hoop that goes over Baaaaabs to allow her to pull this cute little wagon. Baaaaabs is ready to meet all of you. Let's go introduce ourselves. Here's sweet little Baaaaabs before, and here she is now. She's a brand new woman. Yes, she is, and she is extraordinarily happy. She got a new hairdo and a complete makeover head to tail. Take a look at that tassel trim. That's now her little woolly body, and there's her tail. Speaking of head to tail, I'm really happy with the way this turned out, and I love the sand technique. Her legs, her face, her ears, all so special and different. It lends a nice texture and a beautiful color. There's her cart, and you can see that little hoop fits over her just perfect. Total configuration of this little cart, and the flowers are much closer in color than would appear in this video. But I am super stoked. It looks adorable. I can display Baaaaabs with or without her cart, and she is good to go in my decor all spring long. She looks absolutely nothing like that raggedy old sheep that I picked up at Goodwill. Thanks again to Monica for joining me in hopping down the bunny trail. You're going to find the link to her channel and the link to this playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your family, your friends, anyone that likes DIYs, thrifting, repurposing, spring and shabby chic decor. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Ring the bell for notifications of all my upcoming videos. Subscribe. It's a great way to support my channel. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.